What's up, guys? It is Tuesday, September 20th. It's 2:53 p.m. and this is the newsletter. So starting off, Casper Labs joins Hyperledger Foundation to accelerate enterprise adoption of blockchain. So Hyperledger Foundation is one of those consortiums that are high on our radar. And there was only a select few cryptos that were a part of the consortium. It was like Ripple, Stellar, Hedera Hashgraph, Filecoin, I believe Flow as well too, Ethereum, and now we got Casper Labs. So Casper you can get on Uphold. I actually did scoop some up. So I found that interesting because these big companies are a part of the consortium that will use one of these cryptos within their DLT platform. So Hyperledger Fabric is a permission platform and can benefit through interoperability with the cutting edge Casper permissionless network. So there we go. So now all those companies can enable themselves for interoperability by using Casper. So let's move on to the next one. HSBC brings blockchain transaction for Middle East automotive industry. The transaction was facilitated by blockchain platform Contour between the Chinese car maker SAIC Motor and Tajir Group. So the international bank HSBC's conducted the first blockchain transaction for the Middle East automotive industry. So this blockchain is affecting every single industry, and there's all these initiatives. You see this one is placed in accordance with the Vision 2030 initiative, just like Agenda 2030 for the Sustainable Development Goals for the United Nations. So we know the timeline. We know how blockchain and crypto is going to affect every single industry. It's just about finding the ones that are at the forefront of it. Then we have this. So there was a hurricane, I guess, that battered down Puerto Rico on Sunday, cutting power to the entire island while bringing destructive winds and life-threatening flash flooding. There was also a huge power or blackout in Africa as well too, and it's happening in California as well. So this person says nobody needs offline payments until they do. Blockchains and smartphones are useless when you have no power or cellular signal. Digital cash must work offline. So we already know that XRP and Ripple's developed an offline way of transacting with the XRP ledgers. So it's called XPOP. XRP ledger transactions can now be initiated offline. This is October 6, 2021. So it's almost been a year now, but it's like they see the implications that could happen or things that could happen in the future, and they're developing beforehand to be prepared for it. So XRP, I believe, is one of the only ones that can demonstrate transactions and do transactions offline. So this is huge. So if there is a total global blackout, XRP will be there to save the day. And that's how they would reset the system. All right, and then we have this. SEC claims US government has jurisdiction over all Ethereum network transactions. So we're seeing a switch of narrative. It seems like the Ripple SEC case is wrapping up. They press forward for summary judgment. They're trying to accelerate and expedite the knowing if XRP is a security or dismiss the case. And it seems like they have a new target now due to the ETH merge. Now they're doing proof of stake, and there's only two big validators that are validating the whole network, whereas XRP and Ripple, they have a ton of organizations validating the network and a part of the consensus model. So now the SEC is kind of steering their focus away from Ripple, and now they're looking at Ethereum. And that's why we're seeing probably XRP outperform, and we're seeing Ethereum come down because the hype from the merge is done. But now the SEC, it seems like they got eyes on them, and now XRP, the SEC, their eyes are going away from them, and they are sufficiently decentralized. So this is definitely big news, because if they do go after Ethereum, it could have huge implications, because 90% of cryptos out there are built on Ethereum. So then that leaves the question, so what is, if Ethereum's a security, then what happens to the coins that are built on it? So that's something to definitely watch out for. And then counterparty risk if Australia decides to hold the yuan. So what protocol will convert yuan to Australian CBDC or digital dollars? So this was in the news yesterday. Australia to use China's digital yuan for cross-border payments, but there needs to be a bridge cross-currency conversion mechanism in between. So that's where XRP or Stellar comes in. And then we have this. Let's listen to this. They're going to reprice physical gold more fairly. Let's hear it.
All these countries who've been bullied by the US dollar are looking for new partners, and they're looking for a new system. And part of that is looking for a new LBMA or a new gold exchange, because Putin and Xi and others are very much aware, like anyone who trades precious metals honestly knows, that the LBMA market and the COMEX and the OTC market and the forward contracts leverage is an artificial, legalized way of repressing the paper gold price. So it's not normalized pricing of gold. It's not a conspiracy theory. I even knew this before I became a gold bug or gold interested. When I was working in Wall Street, we all knew this. But in terms of the gold exchange and the LBMA, Putin, like many other things, has known that the West, he's been patiently waiting. Modern monetary theory, the idea that you can solve a debt crisis with more debt and then pay for that with mouse click money, was once a fringe concept in the US or in the West. Now it is mainstream, and it's an absolute insult to the notion of money as a store of value. Now it's just a medium of exchange. Russia and the East are thinking, no, we like things like fertilizer, gold, and hay and hard assets. And they're saying we need to reprice and normalize the pricing of the LBMA market. It's one of the many sins of the West that they want to correct. Now, whether they succeed or not is another question. But it's no coincidence that the Moscow world standard has popped up in addition to everything else as we de-dollarize, as the petrodollar gets diluted by other exchanges and other trades, that they'll do the same thing with the gold market, because it is real, it is a monetary metal. And so the Russian finance minister is now proposing that these Eurasian banks start creating their own standard for gold, that these committees come together and they bring in, whether it's an aggregated or a monetary national unit, they're going to reprice physical gold more fairly. Because Putin knows, like everyone else knows, that the LBMA is an open joke. It's legalized use of leverage to artificially repress the gold price. So again, when you look at 8 LBMA banks effectively having thousands and thousands of levered contracts short, when most of the market is going long and the gold price is repressed, that's not fair gold pricing, regardless of whether you're a gold bull or not.
So we've been keeping you guys on top of it because he just laid out everything that we've been covering in our videos the past couple weeks. He talks about the LBMA. Talks about the Moscow World Standard, repricing gold, how that could have massive implications on the market, as well as it can make the paper gold trading non-existent. So this is a part of a video I'm making, the summary of events, where this is happening at the end of this year, and it could be a black swan event cause for the stock market. It could cause select cryptos to skyrocket, commodities to skyrocket. And that video is coming real soon because I'm going to lay out all the connections and the dots for you guys to see what I'm seeing and the narrative that's being put in place and connecting the dots. And now Colorado residents can now use crypto to pay taxes. So that will probably happen across the whole United States. And then USDC is now on Robinhood. So now you can hold USDC coin on Robinhood. I believe Stellar and some other cryptos are on there as well too. And then we have the technical evaluation US CBDC system. This is from the White House the other day. And I typed in wholesale here and we're going to try to find something. So we see right here, for example, the Federal Reserve's Board Technology Lab is pushing forward a significant amount of research and experimentation related to CBDC systems. The Federal Reserve Bank of Boston is working with a university to explore innovative arrangements for retail CBDC payments. And the Federal Reserve Bank of New York is collaborating with the Bank of International Settlements on wholesale CBDC payments. So the Federal Reserve also published a discussion paper in January 2022 titled Money and Payments, the US Dollar in the Age of Digital Transformation, which solicited comments on a variety of policy considerations and discussed ongoing technological experimentation. So let's see if we can find anything else. So aside from intermediation of individual payments, there's also a question of intermediation with the CBDC system itself. A CBDC system could allow retail users access to CBDC directly from the CBDC system operator via layers of intermediaries, as a liability of intermediaries or not at all. Much has been written about this distinction, often framed as a difference between retail central bank digital currency and wholesale central bank digital currency. So the retail central bank digital currency would be kind of what Stellar is going to promote and kind of like what we would use peer-to-peer, and wholesale will be central bank to central bank or institution to institution. All right, so let me look up another keyword interoperability. So the CBDC system should be appropriately interoperable. The CBDC system should, where appropriate and consistent with other policy priorities, facilitate transactions with other currencies and systems such as physical cash, commercial bank deposits, CBDCs issued by other monetary authorities, and the global financial system. The CBDC system should be designed to avoid risks of harm to the international monetary system and financial system, including broad monetary sovereignty and financial stability. The CBDC system should be designed with appropriate considerations for transferability and orderly termination of events as such as change in policy or end of life. All right, so we're going to keep moving on here. I believe Coinbase now is going to list HBAR. Let me see. So, So on September 13th, Coinbase opened deposits for HBAR through the account in order to support it. So upon completion, deposits will be re-enabled and trading will be enabled for HBAR. So we will continue to provide updates around the launch timeline as they become available. So probably within the next, mid-October. So we expect to re-enable deposits to begin trading for HBAR on the Dara network in mid-October. So now we know the date for that. Then we have Ripple tweeting about, when it comes to the climate crisis, crypto must do its part to help build a more sustainable future. Yesterday, we signed the climate pledge and joined 375 plus businesses that are prioritizing the planet. So to kick off Climate Week New York City, we're thrilled to announce that we've reached another big milestone. 375 plus signatories have signed the climate pledge with the shared mission of accelerating responsible climate action. Signatories are putting the planet first. And this has to do kind of with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations 2030. It has to do with Xange, the carbon credit tracker or registry system built on the XRP ledger in connection with the United Nations. So let's take a look at what I found. So right here, there's currently an emergency session of the United Nations taking place in New York. Buckle up. And this is what we got. So the United Nations General Assembly High Level Week 2022. The 77th session of a General Assembly opens on the 13th of September under the theme, A Watershed Moment, Transformative Solutions to Interlocking Challenges. The theme stems from the recognition that the world is at a critical moment in the history of the United Nations due to complex and interconnected crises, including the COVID-19 pandemic, the war in Ukraine, humanitarian challenges of unprecedented nature, a tipping point in climate change, as well as growing concerns about threats to the global economy. It is therefore necessary to find and focus on joint solutions to these crises and build a more sustainable and resilient world for all and for generations to come. So we can see that this week, the 20th to the 26th, we have the curtain rises on the busiest diplomatic season on the year at the United Nations headquarters in New York. It starts at 9 a.m. A watershed moment, transformative solutions to interlocking challenges. And let's give a look at what this is. So the general debate on, let me keep moving forward. So you have all these countries here that are going to talk, but this is live right now. So I believe that they're going to announce their Xange product. So Xange.com will develop a carbon credit solution on the XRP ledger. So let me pull all this up. So first off, we have the SDG UN 2030 agenda. And what that is, it's the Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This agenda is a plan of action for people, planet, and prosperity. It also seeks to strengthen universal peace and larger freedom. We recognize that eradicating poverty in all in its forms and dimensions, including extreme poverty, is the greatest global challenge and an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. So they have 17 sustainable development goals, 169 people are targets, which we are announcing today, demonstrate the scale and ambition of this new universal agenda, a new universal agenda. So the goals and targets will stimulate action over the next 15 years in areas of critical importance for humanity and the planet. So we can look at their logo for this. So the UN, so right here. So we see like the kind of circle here, like this is what it looks like that. The global goals of sustainable development. And then we go to Xange, which is right here. And we can see that same logo. They're the same logo. So Xange.com, same logo. So they're on board with the UN Agenda 2030. You can see that. And then what is Xange? So Xange.com will develop a carbon credit solution on the XRP ledger. Xange.com, a sustainably run securities exchange operated in partnership with the United Nations, announced today, and that was December 16, 2021, announced today that it will develop a carbon credit solution on the carbon neutral XRP ledger. Xange.com is working hand in hand with the UN Development System, focusing on African market infrastructure solutions for carbon markets and to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. In this context, Xange.com is preparing the launch of the implementation of its voluntary carbon credit infrastructure to channel carbon credit offsets from the African Great Green Wall Initiative. Xange.com will develop a carbon credit solution on the XRP ledger for the issuance of tokenized carbon credits in accordance with the standards set by the leading industry working groups like the IWA, Global Blockchain Business Council Initiative, and the Task Force on Scaling Voluntary Carbon Markets, of which Xange.com is a member. So it's talking about everything with this. And the key here is that we had this article the other day from Forbes, which was talking about the IMF climate coin. And the IMF is highly, deep up with the United Nations. It's like an international kind of organization, the United Nations. So is the IMF, so is the World Bank. So they're all in cahoots. And you can see that in the article from Forbes with the IMF climate coin. I'm going to read a little bit here. And we can see it says, in the previous two articles, rationale and conditions for an IMF climate coin were articulated as well as an initial stablecoin framework for the coin. The last article will focus on the sustainable asset collateral pool along with broad application potential for the coin in economic and monetary policy. Then you have the supply of the stablecoin would be limited and expressed as a fraction of the remaining carbon budget of 1,042 gigatons of CO2, essentially to stay well beneath the 2 degrees Celsius increase. At current greenhouse gases consumption rates, the reserve would be depleted in just under 20 years. In practice, the IMF could issue 100 billion units in climate coins. I find it coincidental that there's only 100 billion units of XRP, or approximately 10% of the remaining budget of 1,042 gigatons of CO2. The IMF could concurrently introduce a global carbon price of $100 for every ton of CO2, with every coin representing 1 ton of CO2. So they're saying, basically, in theory, they could issue a stablecoin that is 100 billion units, and they would price each unit at a ton of CO2, which they would then put a price set of a ton of CO2 at $100, with every single coin representing 1 ton of CO2 equivalent. So it's funny how they say the same number of XRP that's out there, which is limited in supply, and they're saying that they would price set it at $100. In the first tranche, the IMF could release 10 billion coins at $100 a ton of CO2 for each coin. The total value would be amount to $1 trillion US. There would be an initial collateral base worth $200 billion US of IMF assets, ensuring a target collateral ratio of 1/5. The IMF could award 1 million coins to high school kids around the world, presenting trailblazing climate change solutions to raise climate coin awareness. The awards could, along with the remainder of allotted climate coins, be monetized in the year 2050. So we have all of these connections here, and they're talking about a global pool, or pooling the assets here. So there would be an initial collateral base. Where is it? So right here, it says the last article will focus on the sustainable asset collateral pool, right? So then we have, remember, X pool, where XRP sits at the middle, and then you have all these other currencies or all these other commodities, whatever it may be. What I'm thinking is, and then I'll get to that. But then remember, what is Xange? Xange is that carbon credit, so CO2 tool. So Xange is that carbon credit solution on the XRP ledger in development and partnership with the United Nations. So the United Nations, IMF are in cahoots. IMF's talking about a climate coin that will be priced at $100, which will represent 1 ton of CO2. And then you have Xange.com will develop a carbon credit solution on the XRP ledger. And you have then And you have the same logos for the United Nations thing there too. But then we go to this and we can see that Ripple Swell Conference. So Ripple Swell, November 16th to 17th, 2022, Discover Real Value. Swell Global is Ripple's an annual flagship event that brings together the world's most influential voices across crypto, blockchain, payments, financial services, and economic policy. So now they release the speakers. So now we can see who's speaking at the conference this upcoming November. And who do we got here? Stephen Witt, Xange.com, COO and founder. Xange.com, a sustainably run securities exchange operated in partnership with the United Nations. Stephen Witt is a co-founder and COO of Xange.com, a sustainably run securities exchange operating in partnership with the United Nations. Mr. Witt founded Kadaza, all this stuff. But all right, so these connections run deep. So he's speaking at the Ripple Swell Conference. He runs Xange. Xange is a carbon credit solution on the XRP ledger in partnership with the United Nations. You have the United Nations high-level General Assembly this week talking about a watershed moment and talking about how they can have solutions. So a watershed moment, transformative solutions to interlocking challenges. Their challenges is the SDG moment, so sustainable development goals, right? And then we have this video from that same guy. So let me go to that. So Stephen Witt, and then let's listen to, this is legit right now. This is as we speak. Global Payments or Global Blockchain Business Council, ensuring positive impact for our communities, is kicking off now with this person, Stephen Witt, Xange.com. So he's there speaking there right now at the United Nations High Level Council. And this is literally 35 minutes ago. So this is probably on live stream right now. So I'm going to pull that up.
They start the day, many of them.
And then we're going to look at this other video that I have here. Oh, right here, Xange.com. 24 minutes ago, we are building market infrastructure solutions that enable African nations to monitor what is happening, what's being issued, and creating transparency in markets when it comes to carbon credits. Bam, right there. So it discusses how they're working to digitize the carbon credit market and applying Gbc's Interwork Alliance Token Taxonomy Framework. And then I want to find him. He did like a talk here. So then we got this. So let's take a look. Then we have this. This is from the IMF. A stablecoin is a crypto asset that aims to maintain a stable value relative to a specified asset or a pool of assets. These assets could be a monetary unit of account, such as the dollar or euro, a currency basket, a commodity such as gold or carbon credits, or unbacked crypto assets. This stability can be achieved only if a centralized institution is in charge of issuing and redeeming these crypto assets. Another centralized institution must hold corresponding reserves that back each unit of stablecoin that is issued. So I think we're cracking the code here, but let's go to, so here's the video.
We try to create transparency and open price discovery on an open exchange. So, and currently it's done highly manually, inefficient, and trading and settlement process with a lot of risk and double spending risk involved. So how are we trying to solve this? So first of all, you need to have standardization in the market. So that's essential. So with IWA, we're pleased to really contribute there to look and implement the token taxonomy framework, create like transparency, create a template that we as an industry would like to comply with. Blockchain, we use the XRP ledger because of enterprise grade functionality. It's trading friendly and it's carbon neutral. And smart contracts, why smart contracts? Because it's much faster to develop and it's multi-party application that, and it's seamless collaboration internally and across companies. So that's why we use smart contracts. We have on the XRP ledger, according to the token taxonomy framework, and we have provided feedback about the XRP ledger on GitHub. It all will be open source, publicly available. We're here to solve and help. We have deployed the carbon credit solution to demo environmental access to pilot customers. So we're definitely engaging and partnering with VVBs and other stakeholders because it's a complex mechanism that we're trying to build here. We are ready to onboard pilot customers for further enhancement of the carbon credit solution. So we try to create transparency and an open model and open price discovery.
So there we go. Like, everything is connecting. And then, so this is the climate coin that we read. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Like, I'm going to leave you guys off with that because all those connections there, it's not coincidental. There's something happening behind the scenes. We can see XRP's at 41 cents while Bitcoin's at its lows around $19,000. And it feels like there's going to be a big announcement soon. Everything's lining up. That seat case with Ripple seems like it's wrapping up. We're seeing Xange get its moment here with the United Nations, the IMF. We're seeing the Moscow World Standard using a new kind of way of pricing gold to their local currencies, digitizing their currencies, but needing a settlement mechanism to facilitate that so they can trade in their local currencies. This is the year. And then we got ISO coming up in November. We have Ripple Swell Global Conference in November. We have the United Nations high-level meeting for the rest of this week. We have the Federal Reserve tomorrow with interest rates, and there's just so many things happening. So I can't wait to get that summary of events video out for you guys so you guys can know the dates and order of events of what I believe is going to happen and the proof and to show you guys the narrative. So that's it, guys. That's the newsletter, and I'll see you guys in the Discord.